Hello, everybody. This month, March, is Women History Month. And I was thinking, I haven't really done anything for women's history. Well, I picked up this kid's book that I randomly bought somehow. I don't even remember where I got it from. I picked it up somewhere. It's a used book. It looked interesting. And I couldn't put it down. It was so interesting and I really loved it. I love the way it looks. So I thought I'd show you guys. It's called A is for Abigail, meaning Abigail Adams. And I just love the way it's illustrated. I love these type of books where there's a lot of very detailed, tiny pictures with writing all over the place, just full of information. So there's so many things I love about this book. I was just like turning each page and like, oh, I love this. It's almost like a scrapbook in a way, or they were really creative with it on every single page. I didn't even realize this until just now. So it's written by Lynn Cheney. Okay, so that makes sense. Lynn Cheney is the wife of former Vice President Dick Cheney. And it's a picture of her in the back with a bunch of kids. I didn't even realize. I didn't even know who wrote it. I wasn't paying attention. But illustrated by Robin Price Glasser. So this first page I really liked because it kind of looks like this woven quilt of sorts. And it's just filled with the names of all. It's like so perfect, and like I like the perfectness of it with all the names written out perfectly of different women that have done things throughout history, you know, made their mark in history. Eleanor Roosevelt, Julia Child, Helen Keller, Josephine Baker, Harper Lee, Mercy Otis Warren, Marilyn Monroe. I even like this title page. It shows it's all these different girls going into a box of like dress up clothes, and they're all dressing like different things, different characters, and it's so detailed, and there's so many like just cute little touches to it, you know? Like there's a girl that's dressed like a animal expert safari type of girl with a dragon in a net, and there's a superhero type girl, and like fashionista with a baby doll, firefighter, construction worker. There's one back here just reading a book, you know, in regular clothes, writing like a writer, little nurse or doctor playing guitar. They're kind of just representing all the different women that are talked about in the book. And then the first page here with the written quote, that you may rise to honor and to fame, the ornament of your country and the blessing of your parents is the ardent wish of your friend and humble servant, Abigail Adams. This is the introduction, wrote by Lynn Cheney, and I love the quote at the top by Susan B. Anthony. I look for the day when the only criterion of excellence or position shall be the ability and character of the individual, and this time will come. Susan B. Anthony. That's so, so true even for today. The time still hasn't come, unfortunately. We look for the day when the only criterion of excellence or position shall be the ability and character of the individual, not whether they're a man or a woman, or whether they're white or black or Hispanic or Asian, or what religion they are, or anything like that. That should not be the criteria. It should be their ability and character. And then we have a very detailed page talking about Abigail Adams. Her husband, John Adams, was the president of the United States. He was the second president? He was second president, John Adams. When John was considering what the laws for the new nation should be, she wrote to him, "I desire you would remember the ladies." And then she continued, "If particular care and attention is not paid to the ladies." So first it's like all sweet, like, "I hope you, please, husband dear, would you remember the ladies?" And then it turns into, "If particular care is not paid to the ladies, we are determined to foment a rebellion and will not hold ourselves bound by any laws in which we have no voice and representation." Like, why should we follow these laws and rules if we have no voice in them? Then it goes through the alphabet, sort of, which I like. I like order, and I like things being in certain orders and things like that. So I like that they are making it in like alphabetical order in a way. So B is for Elizabeth Blackwell and others who wanted to heal. So it's like women in medical field. And C is for Evelyn Cameron and the women who went west. Like Clara Barton, Elizabeth Blackwell, Dr. Dr. Gertie Corey, Dr. Virginia Apgar, and Susie King Taylor. And then it talks about Annie Oakley, Evelyn Cameron, Eleanor Pruitt Stewart, Angie DeBow. D is for Emily Dickinson, poet. And all along the edges here, it lists all of these different poets. It's just crazy. There's a lot of them. Then we have E is for educators, talking about women in history that were educators, like Anne Sullivan, who taught Helen Keller. G is for Mary Catherine Goddard and others who brought us news, women in the news. H is for Anne Hutchinson, who fought for her religious freedom, even though she was banished. At least she stood up for her freedom, her religion, and wouldn't back down. I is for Laura Ingalls and other girls of America's past. J is for Anna Jarvis, which I didn't know that Mother's Day was created by a girl named Anna Jarvis. And then Father's Day was created by a girl named Sonora Dodd, who was raised by her father. K is for Mary Kies and other inventors and entrepreneurs. So this whole both page spread is all about women that have invented things or led big giant companies, like Hattie Carnegie, who immigrated to America as a child in 1892, built a multi-million-dollar fashion empire. Estee Lauder started a cosmetics company in 1946 that is a multi-billion-dollar business today. L is for Julia Lathrop and those who have lifted others up. M is for Maria Mitchell and all who took to the skies. Women in planes and spaceships. Space. N is for Louise Nevelson and other creators of beautiful things. Artists, painters, like Georgia O'Keeffe. O is for Sandra Day O'Connor and others who were first. Nellie Taylor Ross, first woman governor. Frances Perkins, first woman cabinet member. Jeanette Rankin, first woman member of Congress. Esther Morris, first woman judicial officer. Sandra Day O'Connor, first woman Supreme Court Justice. And Wilma Mankiller, first woman chief of the Cherokee Nation. And then this is like a cool big stage. I liked how they did this. And you pull it open. Oh my gosh, just so much detail. It's beautiful. Like, I really love this book. Like, I cherish this book. It's just so beautiful. Look at all that. Big fold out. It's hard to see, I know. The spiral staircase in the middle. And it's like a gigantic mural of entertainers. And they're kind of sectioned off. Like there's ballerinas, like Maria Tallchief and Judith Jameson. There's entertainers like Judy Garland. There's Lena Horne, Aretha Franklin, Carol Channing, Patsy Cline, Marilyn Horne, Hazel Harrison, Mary Tyler Moore, Carol Burnett, Lucille Ball, Joan Crawford, Jessica Tandy, Betty Davis, Marilyn Monroe, Rita Hayworth, Grace Kelly, Ginger Rogers, Shirley Temple. Then we have Q is for quilt makers, which I thought was cool because I love quilts and I think that they're very important, and people don't make quilts like they used to. Like, it's becoming a dying art, and it is really truly beautiful and wonderful quilts. It makes me sad to think that it's becoming less and less people know how to do it or do it. Sorry, you're gonna hear Em just giggling and going crazy in the background because her grandpa is tickling her and not stopping. But it's the only time I have to film this video. And I'm sure there's men out there that make quilts, but I have never, seriously. I know there's men out there that make quilts, but I have never seen one. It's usually women that make quilts, so it's kind of one of those things that's like, I feel like more specific to women. It's a talent, sort of an art form that women do. So I think it's really fitting that they chose that. I mean, there's not too many things you could choose for Q, I guess, but still. R is for Rosie the Riveter, and women who went to war, women who have served, and women who stood strong back home when the men went off to war, because women went through a lot and did a lot of hard things while they were back home. Sure, they might not have been on the battlefield risking their life there, but they had to go through a lot of things. My mom just wrote 2 books. Well, she wrote 1 book that took place during the Civil War and the crazy things that women went through during the Civil War. Of course, that war was fought in America on the same soil as us, and so they dealt with, you know, if they were in the South, they dealt with Northern soldiers burning their houses down, killing their children, killing them, raping them, you know, things like that. And it's horrible. So, and then the Revolutionary War, redcoats, horrible things, you know, having their houses burnt down, having their food taken from them, or their houses taken over by soldiers, and you know, attacked and killed, and families being ripped apart. It's horrible. And then, of course, World War II, women did a lot to help the cause. S is for the 60s and the 70s and the second wave. I like that. T is for trailblazers. Women that were trailblazers. Antoinette Blackwell helped open the ministry to women. Elizabeth Peabody began the American kindergarten movement. Charlotte Ray broke through a barrier for African American women when she was admitted to the District of Columbia Bar. And this page is really cool and detailed. I love how they did that. U is for us and U is for us or US and our grand history. So it starts off at 1587, and it's like this sort of maze that goes through with all these little bubbles, and it just tells like a giant timeline of history. All the different things, wars and inventions and different important events that happened through history, going all the way to 2003, because this is an older book. V is for variety, so it shows all the different variety of different types of jobs that women can do in these buildings, from a veterinarian to a policewoman to a firefighter to a dance studio, DNA lab, dentist, photography studio, architects, catering, pharmacy, doctor, computers, construction workers, mailwoman, publisher. There's some girls jogging. There's one walking a dog. Painters up on the roof. One's flying an airplane, flying a hot air balloon, modeling on a billboard. All kinds of little details in this picture. Then we have W is for Edith Wharton and women writers all. Writers, women writers. Louisa May Alcott, Pearl S. Buck, Harriet Beecher Stowe. And it lists all around the edges here all kinds of writers. X is for the mark on the ballot. Women who fought for the right to vote. Y is for Rosalind Yallow and women in science and math. Z is for Babe Didrikson Zaharias and all the women who would be strong. Sort of women in the Olympics, like athletic women that achieved things. And that's it. So I really love that book, so I had to show you guys and advertise it. Anyone wants to check it out. Very detailed, kid-friendly. I was reading it to my daughter. She was bouncing off the walls. I was reading it to my daughter. She was bouncing off the walls. Paying attention a little bit, but then she she ping-ponged her way out of here. Happy Women's History Month. Please like and subscribe and leave nice comments down below. And have a nice day. Bye.